Family missed my wedding. Claimed they got the date mixed up. But that night I saw photos front row at my brother's golf event. I said nothing. A week later my dad asked me for help but I cut him off. By morning mom was calling nonstop. I stood there in my wedding dress looking out at a room full of people and trying to focus on the good. My friends were there. My husband's family had flown in from 3 different states. Even my old college roommate who I hadn't seen since 2018 made it. The food was perfect. The music was better than we planned. Everyone looked happy, smiling, clapping. Except the entire front row was empty. Not a single member of my family had shown up. Not my mom. Not my dad. Not Derek. People noticed. Of course they did. The whispers started during the ceremony. I heard my maid of honor tell someone that there must have been a delay, maybe a canceled flight or a health scare. Everyone wanted a reason. But I didn't say anything. I just smiled, said nothing and married the man I love with a whole row of empty chairs staring back at me like a joke. The ceremony ended. We took photos. I gave a speech. Everyone laughed and cried and danced like it was the best night of my life. And somehow, even with that gaping hole in the guest list, it still was. It was only after midnight in the hotel suite with my hair down and my phone back in my hand that I found out the truth. Derek's face popped up on my cousin's Instagram story. I almost scrolled past it, but then I looked closer. He was standing beside a huge printed banner. Derek Williams Invitational Junior Golf Finals. Front row seats. Big smiles. Country club patio. And right there next to him, my mom and dad. They didn't miss the wedding. They skipped it. On purpose. For a golf tournament. No apology. No text. Not even a fake excuse. Just a grainy photo on someone's story that vanished the next morning. Like it never happened. I stared at the screen for a while and handed it to my husband. He looked at it, looked at me and didn't say anything. I think he knew better. I just powered off my phone and went to bed. The thing is, this wasn't just a petty family snub. This was something building for years. The first fight came when I told them I didn't want to get married at the country club. That's where they got married. That's where Derek won all his little trophies. It was the family place. My mom said it was disrespectful. My dad said it was tradition. Derek rolled his eyes and called my venue some wine shack in the woods. It was a vineyard an hour outside the city. Beautiful, quiet, and completely paid for by me. They hated it. When I didn't change the venue, they stopped answering my messages. My mom backed out of dress shopping. My dad said he wouldn't walk me down the aisle if it's going to be in the dirt. Derek told me I was selfish and ruining everything because I wouldn't think about the family for once. So I cut them out. I stopped sending updates. I uninvited them from the planning group chat. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd come around at the last minute. But they didn't. They made their choice. And here's the part no one knows. During those 2 months of silence, I was still paying their bills. I paid the mortgage on their house, the electric, the phone plan, my dad's truck repairs, and Derek's insurance. They didn't say thank you. They didn't even speak to me. But the money kept leaving my account like nothing had changed. Until the wedding. After that, I was done. A week later, exactly 7 days after the ceremony, my dad called. I didn't pick up. He sent a text that said, "Hey, can we talk? I could use your help with something." Not a single word about the wedding. Not even a joke. Like it didn't happen. I stared at that message for a long time. I almost replied. Almost. The next morning my mom started calling. At first it was just once. Then twice. By noon she called 15 times and left 2 voicemails. I didn't listen to them. But I knew what was coming. They didn't miss me. They needed me. And they had the nerve to ask for something. By the second full day of missed calls I finally caved and checked the voicemails. Not because I wanted to hear from them, I didn't. But because I was curious how far they were willing to go to pretend nothing had happened. The first one was from my mom. Her voice was light, fake cheerful, like she was calling to confirm brunch plans. She said she hoped the wedding went well, like she was asking about a dinner party I'd thrown. Then came the line that stopped me cold. "I guess we just got the date mixed up. You know how chaotic things have been." Right. They mixed up the date. That's why I sent printed invitations, emailed reminders, and a digital RSVP with the exact time and coordinates. I even remember helping her add the date to her phone calendar. She said she wanted to be reminded a week before. That never changed. There was no mix-up. She just didn't come. Then her tone shifted subtly. She said she'd been meaning to reach out because something's come up with Derek's birthday. He was turning 23 and had been going through a tough year. They wanted to make it special. Something about a party at the country club, of course, and a new custom driver he'd had his eye on. Limited edition. Expensive. I could hear her trying to sound casual as she said it cost around $1,400, but even a portion would help. I just sat there listening to my mom talk about party planning like my wedding hadn't happened the week before. Like she hadn't made the decision with my father and Derek to skip the most important day of my life. No explanation. No remorse. Nothing. Then came voicemail number 2 from Derek. I almost deleted it without listening. But curiosity won. He didn't apologize. He didn't even pretend. He said something like, "Look, I know you're probably mad or whatever, but the tournament was booked months ago. It's not like I could have skipped it. It's a big deal." Then he said he hoped I wasn't going to make things awkward by ignoring mom and dad. He wrapped it up with, "Anyway, if you can help with the driver, that'd be cool. If not, whatever. No hard feelings." No hard feelings. That's when I knew they actually believed what they were saying. They believed they had a right to ask me for something after what they did. I'd paid my parents' mortgage for almost a year. Covered their electric, gas, Wi-Fi. I'd paid Derek's insurance, helped with his tuition when he flunked out and wanted to try community college instead. I'd even covered my dad's root canal last winter. Never once complained. And now they were reaching out for more. Not to fix anything. Not to make it right. Just to get what they wanted. I didn't respond. Not that day. Not the next. And definitely not after my mom sent another message late Friday night. "We're going ahead with the party anyway. I know money's tight for us, but it's important. Derek's been through a lot. We'd still love for you to come. And if you're willing, maybe just the driver?" That alone would mean the world to him. Still nothing about the wedding. Not one word. I stared at that text for 10 minutes before putting my phone down. Then I picked it up and reread it. They wanted me to fund a golf birthday party for the golden boy they ditched me for. They wanted me to show up, smile, and pretend like the only thing that mattered was Derek turning 23. They had no idea who they were dealing with. 3 days later, I sent a short message back. I told them I'd be there. And I said I'd bring a gift. Not the one they were expecting. The moment I hit send, I knew what I was going to do. It wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about truth. About not letting them rewrite the story into something easier for everyone to swallow. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to show up, smile, and give them exactly what they'd asked for, just not in the way they imagined. I spent the next few days planning. Not the party, that was already being handled by my mom obviously, but the gift. I transferred $700 into cash, put it in a slim black envelope, and tucked it into a small silver gift bag. Nothing fancy. No note. No card. Just the money. Enough to make them relax for a moment. Just enough to make them think I'd rolled over again. The party was Saturday evening, back at the same country club I'd been told wasn't appropriate for my wedding. Derek's face was printed on signs near the entrance. I parked near the edge of the lot and sat in the car for a few minutes, watching guests in golf polos and cocktail dresses stroll in, laughing, sipping drinks. I recognized a few of them, friends of my parents, old neighbors, some of Derek's golf friends. No one had texted me that day. No reminders. No questions. They must have assumed I wouldn't show. Or maybe they hoped I would, just to prove I still could be guilted into playing along. I walked in right as the music started. A DJ was spinning some soft mix of pop songs, and a buffet of catered food stretched along the far wall. I spotted my parents instantly. My dad was at the bar, drink in hand, talking to some guy in a sports jacket. My mom was hovering near the gift table, arranging things. When she saw me, her face froze for a second. Then she smiled. I smiled back. Derek came up behind her, wearing some ridiculous golf-themed birthday crown. I handed him the silver bag. He looked surprised, then smug. I could see it in his eyes. He thought I'd given in. That I'd shown up, cash in hand, to keep the peace. He didn't open it right away. He passed it to my mom, who placed it with the rest of the gifts. An hour passed. People mingled, drank, clapped when Derek's name was mentioned over the mic. I stayed quiet, floating from one circle to the next. A few people asked how I was, said they were sorry they couldn't make the wedding. I smiled, said it was beautiful. No one asked why my family hadn't been there. I guess they assumed there was a reason. Everyone always gives families the benefit of the doubt. Then came the toast. Derek gave a long, self-congratulatory speech about his year of growth, and my parents beamed like he'd cured cancer. After the polite applause, my mom stepped up to the mic and thanked everyone for coming. And then, to everyone's surprise, she invited me up to say a few words. I hadn't asked to speak. I hadn't planned to. But I walked up, calm, took the mic and turned to the room with a smile. I started with a simple sentence. I'm Jane, Derek's sister. Then I thanked everyone for coming and said how nice it was to finally see some of the faces I'd missed on my big day, the one my family forgot to attend. The room went quiet. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I just said the truth. That I got married last week. That I invited everyone in my family. That they never showed. That they claimed to have mixed up the date. but somehow were all front row at Derek's golf tournament that same day. I told them I paid for the wedding myself, that I'd been paying my parents' bills for the last year, including the car Derek drove to that tournament. And yet when it came time to show up for me, they didn't bother. The room was dead silent. I ended by saying I'd brought a gift tonight. $700. Half of what they asked for. Just enough to cover the driver. But the real gift was letting everyone in that room know the truth. I handed the mic back, walked off the stage, and didn't look back. I didn't stay for cake. I didn't stay for awkward hugs. I got in my car and left. By the time I got home, my phone was blowing up. Missed calls. Texts. A furious voicemail from Derek. One from my mom. One from my dad asking me what the hell I thought I was doing. I didn't answer any of them. Because for once I'd said exactly what needed to be said. They didn't stop calling. Not the next day. Not the day after that. The calls came in waves. First Derek, furious and sputtering into my voicemail like I'd committed some crime against humanity. Then my mom, softer but no less manipulative, asking why I couldn't have handled things differently, and reminding me that family shouldn't be put on blast. My dad didn't call at first, just sent a short, sour text. "You embarrassed us in front of everyone." I didn't reply to any of them. Honestly, I thought that would be the end of it. Let the silence rot between us. They'd stew in the embarrassment and then eventually move on, probably rewriting the story into something more convenient for them. That I'd overreacted. That I'd misunderstood. That I'd been hormonal or stressed or whatever excuse made them feel less guilty. But then Wednesday afternoon came and someone knocked on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I was in leggings and a sweatshirt, half focused on laundry, when I saw the figure through the window. It was my mom. Wearing sunglasses like she was someone famous, trying not to be spotted at CVS. For a moment I actually considered pretending I wasn't home. But curiosity got the better of me. She didn't wait for an invitation. Just stepped in like she owned the place and said she needed to talk. I didn't offer her coffee. I didn't sit close. I leaned against the counter while she tried to explain away a disaster of their own making. At first it was the usual spin, that she never wanted it to come to this, that they didn't think I'd actually go through with a scene, and that Derek was still upset. But I didn't say a word. I think the silence unnerved her because after a few failed attempts to justify things, she changed course. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folded check. It was from Derek. $700. The exact amount I gave him at the party. She said he didn't want my money anymore. That he'd been embarrassed, humiliated actually by the speech. That people had turned cold. One of the sponsors for his golf events had pulled out. His coach said he needed to focus on his character, whatever that meant in country club speak. And that smug little crown he wore during the party? She said he'd thrown it in the trash on the way out. Clicked the check. Looked at it. Then asked if that was the reason she came, to return money and guilt me. That's when things shifted. She sat down and said something I didn't expect. My dad had lost his job 4 months ago. Not recently. 4 months ago. He hadn't told anyone. Not her, not Derek, definitely not me. The money I'd been sending to help with rising bills? It had been covering everything. Mortgage, utilities, food. And what he didn't spend on the house he poured into online sports betting. He was trying to win the money back. Quietly. Secretly. And losing every time. She said she only found out about it after the wedding, when the power nearly got shut off and she finally opened a bill with my name still on it. She confronted him. He broke down. Told her everything. They're months behind. The house is on the edge. And she came to me because, as much as she hated admitting it, I was the only one who'd ever actually kept them afloat. Not Derek. Not my dad. Me. She didn't cry right away. She just sat there, folding and unfolding her hands like she didn't know what to do with them. Then she asked a question I wasn't ready for. Do you think there's any way back from this? I didn't answer right away. I wanted to tell her no. That it was done. That this was years of rot finally exposed. But instead I asked something else. Did you really think I wouldn't say anything at the party? She looked at me tired. And this time she didn't lie. She said they were counting on it. That I'd always been the one to keep quiet, to swallow my hurt and make things easier. And that when I spoke, when I told the truth in front of all those people, they didn't know how to come back from it. I stood there for a long time holding that check, not saying a word. Then she said one last thing before leaving. Something that caught me completely off guard. The country club sent them a notice. Derek's behavior and the attention it drew put their family membership under review. There'd been complaints. People were uncomfortable. Sponsors were distancing. Not because of me. Because of them. Because the truth finally slipped through the cracks and hit them in the only place that mattered. Reputation. She got up to leave and said she hoped someday I could find it in me to forgive them. I told her I'd think about it. She nodded and walked out. I didn't cash the check. I still haven't. It's sitting in a drawer next to my marriage license. One is a beginning. The other I haven't decided yet. The check stayed right where I left it. Top drawer, underneath a copy of my marriage license and a bundle of old utility bills. Most of them with my name on them, not theirs. I kept telling myself I'd throw it out. Or burn it. Or frame it. But I didn't. It just sat there. Like the final word in an argument no one wanted to have anymore. After my mom's surprise visit, everything went quiet. For the first time in months, I had actual silence from all three of them. Not a single call, text, or passive-aggressive guilt trip. And I didn't reach out either. I poured that silence into myself. Into my home. Into the husband I barely had a moment to enjoy after the wedding. We took walks in the evening. We made dinner every night like we were trying to reclaim some kind of calm. I even started sleeping better. There was a space in my life that used to be full of tension and tight-lipped obligation, and now it was just open. I thought maybe that was it. That the drama had burned out and we were all just standing in the ashes, each pretending it wasn't our fault. Then 2 weeks after the party, Derek texted me, "You're still invited if you want." I stared at it longer than I should have. Just those words. No explanation, no apology, no sarcasm. It didn't make sense. I asked what he meant. His reply came fast. "Mom's doing a makeup party. At the house. Nothing big. Family only." I didn't respond right away. The last time I got an invitation from them, it came with a pile of lies and a missing front row at my wedding. I figured this was just damage control. My mom probably convinced Derek that if they didn't do something soon, the rest of the extended family would keep asking what happened. But what got me was what he said next. "She just wants everyone in the same room. She doesn't want the last thing to be that." I asked, "What changed?" He sent back, "Honestly, you're saying what you said. I didn't think you'd actually do it. But you did. And maybe we deserved it." The word "we" stuck with me. I waited 3 days before replying. Then I told him I'd go. Not because I wanted to make peace, but because I wanted to walk into that house on my own terms for the first time in years. No envelope in hand. No money stuffed into a birthday card. No checkbook in my purse. I was done showing up as their safety net. This time I'd be the guest. I didn't dress up. I wore jeans and a plain black top, nothing flashy. I brought a small bottle of bourbon, the one my dad used to drink back when things were better, before the lies, before the pressure. I didn't wrap it. Just carried it in a bag and left the tag blank. When I pulled into their driveway, I noticed something different right away. No balloons. No decorations. No cars parked all the way down the street like Derek's last show. Just a few cars, porch lights on, and the smell of something home-cooked coming through the windows. I knocked once. No answer. Then I opened the door and stepped inside. There they were. Derek sitting on the couch with a plate of lasagna. My mom in the kitchen stirring something on the stove. My dad by the sliding glass door staring out at the backyard. All three of them turned when I walked in. No one rushed over. No dramatic hugs. Just stillness. Then my dad said, "Hey." Simple. But it was the first thing he'd said to me since the party. My mom came over first. He hugged me. I let her. Then Derek, quiet, just looked me in the eye and said thanks. Not for coming for last time. I believed him. Then my dad walked over. Put down his drink. Looked at me like he was trying to decide if I was still angry. I was. But I waited. And then he said, "We were wrong. All of it. I'm sorry." He didn't add anything. No excuses. No explanations. Just those 3 words. We sat in the living room for a while. My mom made coffee. Derek got everyone slices of pie. We didn't talk about the wedding. Or the speech. Or the country club fallout. But I noticed the plaques on the hallway wall. All of Derek's golf stuff had been taken down. Not replaced. Just gone. An hour in, my mom sat next to me and asked if I'd ever thought about cashing the check. I told her no. She smiled and said, "Good. He didn't want you to." She told me that since the party, something shifted in Derek. The sponsorship fallout hit hard. His coach told him he needed to step away for a season, maybe more. Focus on who he was off the course. He was working now. Not golf. Actual work. At a driving range, part-time. She said it wasn't much, but it was the first time he'd earned a paycheck that didn't have my name tied to it. Before I left that night, I handed the bourbon to my dad. He looked at it, blinked a few times, then nodded. No words. Just that small, simple nod, like he didn't know how to say thank you without ruining it. And then, just before I walked out the door, he said, "Come back next week. Just for dinner." No occasion. No favors. Just dinner. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. But I didn't close the door all the way behind me either. I didn't go the next week. Even after my dad asked. Even after that strange, quiet night where everyone tried, really tried, to be human with each other. I wasn't ready. I didn't want to slip back into the role they'd kept me in for years. The one who gives, forgives, and forgets before anyone else says sorry. That wasn't going to happen again. If they wanted me in their lives, they'd have to keep coming forward. I wasn't meeting them halfway anymore. So I waited. A week passed. Then another. And then on a Friday night around 6:30 someone knocked. It was all three of them. My mom had a grocery bag full of ingredients. Derek was holding a tray covered in foil. My dad was empty-handed, but for once he wasn't fidgeting or forcing a smile. He looked straight at me like he was trying to prove something just by standing there. My husband came to the door behind me. He looked at me first, then them. He didn't say a word. Neither did I. But I stepped aside. They walked in like strangers trying not to make a mistake. My mom immediately went to the kitchen like it was still her house. Derek muttered something about garlic bread and asked where to put it. My dad hung back, staying just close enough to look like he belonged but not close enough to relax. It was tense, but not bad. Just unfamiliar. They cooked. I didn't help. I just watched. My mom moved slower than she used to. She asked where the spices were, didn't touch anything without checking. Derek grated cheese like he'd never held a block of it in his life. It was like watching people walk through a memory of what a family should be. Dinner was lasagna. My mom's old recipe. And garlic bread that was clearly underbaked, but no one said anything. We sat around the table my husband and I had bought together after moving in. The first real furniture we chose as a married couple. I remember thinking how strange it was that this was the first time they were seeing it. They hadn't even been to our place before. Not once. No one said grace. No one made speeches. But we talked. They asked about the wedding, really asked this time. My dad wanted to know how it went. What the weather was like. Who ended up walking me down the aisle. I told him. I didn't sugarcoat it. I told him it was beautiful, but the front row was empty and that hurt. He nodded. Said nothing for a long time. Then finally, I should have been there. Just that. It was enough. Derek said he's been working part-time at a local driving range. He joked about how he has to clean up after high schoolers who think they're the next Tiger Woods. Said he'd started saving. He pulled out his phone and showed me an app. One labeled folder, Golf Bag Fund. It had $150 in it. And under that a single note, no more handouts. He didn't say it for applause. He didn't even look up when he showed me. Just slid the phone across the table, then kept eating. After dinner my mom stood in my kitchen and washed the dishes. She didn't ask. He just did it. My husband offered to dry and she smiled like she didn't know how to accept kindness anymore. My dad stayed behind in the dining room. Just me and him for a few minutes. He said he hadn't touched a bet since my mom found out about the job. Said he'd been meeting with someone, a financial counselor. Someone free through the local community center. I asked why now. He looked at me and said, because this time we almost lost everything. And I don't want you to be the one picking up the pieces anymore. He meant it. I believed him. Before they left, they stood near the door like they were waiting for something. Not a thank you. Not a hug. Just anything that told them they were still welcome. I told them they could come next Friday. Just dinner. No big moment. My mom smiled. Derek nodded. My dad looked relieved in a way I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. The next morning I got a text from my mom. No words. Just a photo. It was a small silver frame sitting on their living room shelf. Inside it, one of my wedding photos, just me and my husband laughing. No one else in the shot. No Derek. No parents. Just us. Later that afternoon, Derek texted me a screenshot of another deposit. This time $75. His golf bag fund was growing slowly, one paycheck at a time. I didn't reply, because I didn't have to anymore. The thing about family is, sometimes you spend years asking them to see you and then one day you stop asking. And they either step forward or fade out. Mine stepped forward. And for once I didn't have to earn it.